Okay, folks, we're starting the backsplash here. The backsplash is going to look like stone and brick. It's porcelain, I do believe, or ceramic. I guess it's ceramic, and it just simulates it's a rough finish. It simulates the same as a brick, an old-fashioned brick. So what I did here is I took the measurement from the full length of the countertop. I'll spin you around from there to there. From the chimney over here to the edge of the cabinet. Now I go from the upper part of the cabinet. I know most countertops hang over. I don't usually bring the backsplash to the edge of the countertop, because if you do that, then what happens is you have a check at the top of the countertop. So at the top of the backsplash. So basically it comes up, and then you have to take a piece of Jolly and bend it around the corner for the top corner, and sometimes it looks like a tooth that's missing, so, or a third tooth in the wrong place. So anyway, so that's how I'm going to do that. So I figured out the center. So the center is right here, and it's 7 1/4 foot, so half of that is 42 1/4, I think, or 42 1/8, I think. That's what I measured that at. No, sorry, 47 1/8 is what I meant. So that's half of. No, it wasn't. Wrong measurement. Looking at the wrong place. You do this long enough, you know if you made a mistake. Yeah, so 42 1/8, like I said before. Yeah, so half of that's 42 1/8. So what I did is I just took tiles and I just kind of stuck them beside each other and see where they'd ended. And I didn't want it to end, so I had a small splinter of a piece of tile at the edge. I didn't want that. I wanted to try to make it as close to a half of a tile as I could. I didn't get half, but I got kind of like a third of a tile. So, maybe a quarter of a tile, actually, what most like. And that's what I ended up with. And then the second row is a 3/4 tile. And that works out that the grout lines would be in the center of the tile, like that. And then, every other row. So, and that'll be the same on that side that I started with at the Jolly is what it will be here at the chimney. So it'll all work out. Now, when we pull the plugs are all wrapped in tape for now. Just use painter's tape. We'll take that back off before I shove them in the wall. I just don't want to hit my trowel on them. They are still live, so we want to try to keep it as safe as possible. And I mixed up some mortar. Now this mortar, I make it more like a cake batter than, I make it a little bit thinner than I do for my floors. And the reason why is because I want it to spread easy, and I want to make sure that it sticks well. So, it will drip if you let it long enough, but at the same time it'll be wet, so like that stuck to my finger and I barely touched it. So, and that's what you want it to stick. So now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to, without getting a mess on the countertop, because the countertop is marble, and I'm going to try to set this up. Now I've already got my starter pieces already cut. Now I take the Jolly. The Jolly's 18 inches up the side here, and I taped it. And the reason why I tape them, actually I've seen it on somebody's reel once before, and I thought it was a cool idea. The reason why I do tape them is because the tape is better than a staple in a sense, because the staples, if I used to staple them, but the staple sticks out a 1/16 of an inch or whatever the thickness of the staple is. So you don't want that. Where if you tape it, it's only 1 millimeter in thickness, and it really doesn't affect your day at all. You're playing. So. Now I'm not going to back butter these tiles for a reason, because I don't need to. I made my mortar wet enough that it's going to stick. And to prove it to you, I'll show you. That's pretty good coverage. I barely touched it on the wall, and that's pretty good coverage. So that's without back buttering. But now, fix that up. Now I bought 1/16 grout tees, spacer tees, and they just look like a cross. And that's what I'm using, 1/16, and that's what I want for a grout line. And these tiles are, the other thing you need to know is these tiles here are rough on the edge. So you're not going to get a continuous straight plane like picture in a magazine grout line. You're going to be a textured grout line, so it's going to be like a shaky grout line. It's going to go up and down a little bit, and that's going to match the profile of this home. They kind of got a rustic feel to the whole scheme of things here, and it looks really nice. Did a really good job. Homeowners done it themselves. They did an amazing job. These cabinets were built by a cabinet company, but everybody's done an amazing job. Now the trick to these are not to put too much mortar on the wall. If your wall is good and straight, don't put too much mortar on the wall. And the reason why is because it makes your tiles go in and out. They won't lay flat on the wall. And now if your wall's crooked, you want to do the total opposite. You want to put more mortar on the wall and plane the tile out. So that's a little trick for you to do. And always continuously check your mortar. If you put mortar on the wall, continuously check it and make sure it's going to stick to your fingers. Because if it sticks to your fingers, you know for a fact it's going to stick to the back of the tile, which means the tile is not going to fall off the wall at a later date. So it's good to continuously check. You can wiggle those around a little bit. If you do wiggle them around, what it will do is it'll collapse the grout or the mortar lines, and that'll allow it to smear itself on the back of the tile, which is what we're aiming for. I had this all laid out, but I had it laid out to start on the chimney side of things, and then I decided to start at the jolly. And by doing that, then I got my tile in my own way here. So I just have to move things over a bit. Not a real big deal. trick to this is, if you get any mortar on the countertop, before you put your tile on, clean it off. And the reason why you want to clean it off is because then you don't have to worry about getting mortar on the face of your tile and have to try to deal with that. So this is Friday, it's a long weekend. I won't be back until Monday or Tuesday. So I want to make sure that there's no messes here for me to clean up after I'm done today. I'm just giving these tiles a little shake when I get them on the wall. The wall is good and straight. It's a really good job here on the crack filling, so I don't need to worry about playing as much. And the other side of that is the backsplash is textured, so it's not going to be, you're not going to ever get it 100%. It's going to look rough like a chimney. So that's that one. So now what I've got here is a plug. It worked out good. On the bottom of the plug, these are the decor switches. And decor switches, a cover plate goes on the bottom of the set of the screw into the box. So you need to make sure that the tile has a little nick in it, or make sure it's above or below that little cover screw. I got lucky on this one. It seems to work out. I'm hoping. I'll know more when I'll check it here in a second. Now I just set that tile on to measure it, and how I do that, I don't use a tape measure for that. I just kind of set it into place and then mark it to the inside, or to the edge of the inside of the drywall cut, not the box. So it's basically on the outside of the box is where I marked it. And I've got my cutter here, snap cutter, and I just snap that off. So that's it. Good to square. You can see my little line there. That little line, don't worry about that because that's going to be covered. I would worry about that if it was right against the trim, tile trim edge. We don't have to worry about that. So now, seeing what I did here, I cut that tile off. So now I'm going to lose my profile if I don't get this right. So basically, I need to know where a full tile would end on that row. And I'll mark it just at the top edge of the tile that I've already installed with a black marker, which works out to the other side of the box. So basically, when I marked it on this part of the tile with the black marker. And I'll set the next tile right there. That'll be my next grout line. And by that being there on the edge, you can't see it from the face. So I can leave that line, there's no issues there. So that's the little trick. Save you a little work down the road. Now that I'm done the top or the bottom edge, I can pull these light switches down. Now, I just pulled that light switch or the plug-in down, and I just pulled the wire off it. So that's going to have to be fixed. I don't have a Marette right here, so I'm just going to tape it for now, so nobody gets electrocuted. It's a common wire, so it's not as crucial. Just got to make sure that nobody touches it. And we'll put that back on here in a minute after. Okay, we'll shut the power off for that and do that. So we're not going to worry about that right now. We'll just skip it. There's no issues. Now the very last row is a cut tile, and I'm going to leave that for now because I'll cut them after. And those tiles up there, that last cut row, instead of putting the mortar on the wall, I'll back butter them and then stick them up. And that'll allow me to not be able to make a mess on the front of my tile and countertop and all that jazz. So, just going to continue on. Check my mortar. It's been sitting here for a little bit. See? Transfers on my finger. We know we're still good. Half the problem with tiles that fall off the walls because the mortar's got dry. Or they spray too much out, and then what happens is it'll dry up, and then it feels like it's stuck, but it did not stick. And so you just got to make sure that you do the finger test. Doesn't hurt it. There's the coverage on that, barely touched. Just by shaking it, that's how much coverage happens. Now, I back butter all my floor tiles, so don't think that I would do this on a floor, because I wouldn't. On a floor, and a shower wall, I back butter all those tiles. Everything there is a lot different. I just do backsplashes. It's the only thing I do this on. Now remember, I marked the top of that tile, so I know where my grout line is. The other thing you could do too is if you had a laser, you could set your laser up across the room, and then you could run a laser and make sure that those grout lines are going continuously. I don't have to worry about that. I've already done that by using the tile. And if you're not sure, set your tile on top of the tile, another tile on top of the tile, stick your grout tee beside it, and then butt the tile up against it, and it's on the wall. And that's your space. It'll be the exact same thing as if you had a full tile. Now my next one, I gotta make a notch. So I'm just gonna mark the tile. And I mark the edge of the tile for the height of the box. There's little ears in the box, plus I need to come up another 1/8 of an inch higher than that. So I marked that, and I did it right here on the edge. And now I'm just going to transfer that line across, doing the old finger trace trick. And that's what I have. That's the box. So I'm going to stock the camera right here. I'm going to go cut that on the grinder, and I'll be right back. Now, I've cut my tile, and that's all good now. Now I'm just going to run a little bit of mortar on the top of the box there because I didn't do that before. Now the trick of this is I don't try to put too much mortar on. I try to only put the workable space that I can do within 5-10 minutes. Can't stress enough about how much things dry out, and once they dry out, they don't stick. They may appear to stick, but they don't. So it's very important. Do it right the first time. There. Now the other thing is keep your hands clean. Keep your job site clean. Keep a rag with you, a wet, damp rag. Try to clean it up the best you can so you can keep your grout, your mortar off your. Okay, keep your fingers clean. That's all good tricks. It's going to save you a whole lot of cleaning in the end. Like I said, stick that tile on, give it a little wiggle. We're not worried about trying. There's only a 1/16 grout line, or 1/8 grout a mortar on there. So that 1/8 mortar is nice and planed all the way across the wall. So it's not going to stick me out. It's not going to stick the tile out further than it needs to be, which is the nice thing about it. Now I know that I'm not going to do my top row yet because it's going to take me some time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that my wall is good and clean. There's no mortar buildup above that top row of tile. And the reason why is because if that hardens, it's going to be harder to clean it and it's going to take more time. Time is money. It's a pain in the butt. So frustration is worth more than money not to have it. So gonna move myself down the line a little bit. Got a little stool here to hold my mortar bucket, which is kind of nice. I usually put the bucket on the floor and then spoon the mortar up. Sometimes you get it on the cabinet. And this time we won't have to worry about that because mortar's right with us. So, just moving my material away from where I'm going to mortar. I don't want to make a mess. Now, I keep these mortar lines, trowel lines, all the same direction. Don't go this way and that way. One thing is you can't push the air out of it when you do that. You'll get an airlock. The other thing is you'll leave a bump, and you don't want bumps. Bumps will hold the tile out and keep them from being the proper plane. You get mortar on the tile, clean it off ASAP. It's a white mortar and a gray tile, so you can imagine what that's going to look like at the end if I didn't clean that off. Now, people could say, well, you could use a gray tile or a gray mortar. You could do that, but I had this. This bag is already open, and we're not going to go buy it again. We already got it. This mortar is $57 a bag plus taxes. So, pretty expensive. But all you have to do is just be careful and do a good job. Pretty simple. And then it don't matter what color it is. I said, make sure they clean that countertop off. It's a marble countertop. We don't need mortar stuck on it, so we have to scrape or scrub extra hard. Come next week, after it sits there for 2 or 3 days, we don't need that. Nobody needs issues. Not problems in life with making your own. And every time I put one on, I give it a wiggle. Over there, I know for a fact that it's good. It's not going to have no issues. And these are just random. These colors are different. I'm not trying to pick apart and try to get the darker colors with the darker colors, the lighter colors with the lighter colors. It's random. That means the first one that I picked up is the one that's going on. I'm not trying to say, oh, I don't like that tile, because if you do that, you're not going to like your pattern in the end. You need to make sure you just do random. Means the very first tile you pick up, that's the one you're using. Don't try, unless there's an issue with that one tile, like it bent or broke or something, use it. Because if you don't, it's going to affect your pattern, and you'll see that. And that's something you need to be careful of, because it can make a mess and do your job if you're not careful. Like you may think that I make this look easy. Well, it is kind of easy, actually, once you get onto it. It's not easy the first day. It is, but it's easy. It's, there's things you should know. A lot of things you need to know. Like how to mix your mortar properly, to be able to withstand the application, which is what you're using it for. My case subway tile, or it's kind of like subway tile, I guess. And I'm trying to make the flattest surface that I can make, but textured at the same time. And you got to get an eye for that. And once you get an eye for that, it really is not that hard. I remember thinking when I first started, it's not perfect. Like I was so used to everything was MDF, and everything was, like when I started carpentry and stuff, everything was perfect, picture in a magazine perfect all the time. And that kind of ruined my abilities. It made me a good perfectionist because I had to make it perfect, but it ruined my abilities because I couldn't see past it into the custom world, and it'll hold you back. And that's one thing you need to be careful of, is things holding you back. So basically, I could never imagine doing a rough project, a rough piece of lumber. Could never imagine it, because I did everything so perfect. It was like nice smooth finishes, no seams, no gaps, like cabinetries. And that's the way I was taught. But that was where I focused all my career. Now I'm into texture, and the market is into texture now, and it's hard for somebody to come out of a world that is almost flawless or perfect, trying to be perfect all the time. Not that I was, I'm just saying that you had to try to make sure everything was perfect or down to a 1 or 2, 3% efficiency of bad work. You had to try to get the best you could all the time. Well, you're not trying to look for the best. You're just trying to master profile and do a good job. And it's a lot easier, actually. If you broaden your horizons, the world will take you in a lot of places. A lot of good places. every time I get on that mortar and I make a mess on that countertop, I make sure I have a rag right here. The rag is right there, doing its job. I'm going to start against the tile that I laid, and then we're going to wiggle it. Now you're not going to take it and smear it all over the wall to try to get the back buttering done. You're just going to move it like ½ an inch each side. It really does the trick. Because remember, my mortar on the wall, the rows in the mortar, they're only 1/8 by 1/8. So basically I only have to move it 1/8 of an inch and I'm into the next row of mortar. So if I move it ½ an inch, then I know I moved it across a couple of them, and I know I've got pretty close to 80% coverage or 90% coverage on the back of my tile easily. So, just by doing that, and it keeps everything straight. Everything nice and plain. It's been a few minutes before I put this on, so I'm going to check that. I checked it again, see? I'm always checking that. See, that's wet. See, it's on my thumbnail. So, can't really, I didn't put enough on there, but it is there. So I know for a fact that this is going to stick to my tile still. And if you don't believe me, here's one I just stuck on the wall. Sticking to the tile. I didn't push it on all the way because I want to put it back on and push it because I want to make sure I get good coverage on the back. But I just want to see that it was sticking to the tile. That's what we know for a fact it's not going to fall off the wall. Careful with your plug, you know, trowel stuck in the on the wires. You get yourself electrocuted. So make sure you keep that tape on them. Don't try to play the game and don't put any tape on and say, oh, that's good enough. Just hope for the best. Well, you can't hope for the best. You never know when an accident's going to happen. And you don't want it to be the last accident you make. So just be careful. Started my YouTube out, and I'm not very good with it yet, but I try. Some of the videos are good, and some of them aren't as good. That I do know. But what started this out was I was supposed to do a little TV show last fall, and the contractor in the area got big enough that he took my tile work. Not that he was better, just that he was closer, and he's not better actually. But that's okay, because I don't know that it was for me anyway. So I decided if I couldn't do that, I was going to do YouTube. A couple of people inspire me that I know that have them. So that's This way here, I get to do what I want to do and put it on there, and I don't have to worry about what somebody else wants me to put on there. So it's a lot easier this way. So this kind of is the reason why I'm going this way. So anyway, it's all good. Back on my mortar, stuck to my finger. So you know my finger does clean off, see? Stuck to my finger. Anyway, long story short, I didn't do the TV show, but we'll try to give you a show this way. Maybe eventually it'll get good enough that people will like and subscribe if they could. That'd be great. And if you don't, well, maybe you learn something anyway. So. YouTube for me wasn't about making money. It's good if I could, but if I don't, that's fine too, because I make money on this. This is my job, this is my career, this is what I do. So every project you see on YouTube, I've already done it for a customer. So I get paid one way or another. So now I'm at my end. And I have to get in some cut tiles. So basically all I'm going to do is I'm going to take this tile and I'm going to take this black marker. I'm going to take a spacer and I'm going to stick it at the edge of the tile where space would be. I'm just going to take the tile and butt it up against the wall. And using the width of my spacer, where the tile would butt up against it, the one I'm cutting, I just put a little black mark. There. You see it? Right there? Looks like a little fly poop. Anyway, it's there. And I don't make a big line because the black marker, you don't want to leave any marker like that on a finished product. And then I just take my snap cutter and snap it off. There it is. So I stick it back over to my wall. Check it, make sure everything fits, and it does. Spacer fits in there. Everything's good. Now I've got another row above it. So the unfortunate part is these tiles are just a little bit short from being able to use them on the second row, but that's okay. We'll do the exact same thing. Stick it up against the wall, and I'm just putting a little dot on the edge of the tile right there. You can see it in the camera right there by my finger. Bring it in my snap cutter. And then just break it off. There it is. That's my waste. That was a waste piece. This is the piece I need. Okay. Now that one there, I missed my line. I'm just gonna have to shave it a little bit with the grinder. Bring it back. I shaved that piece with the grinder. Just took well, basically what happened was when it snapped off the back side of the profile, the back side of the tile kind of like brought a little lip out. So I just had to clean it up a bit, and then it was ready to stick back on. So again, I'm checking my mortar because there's been a couple of minutes, so I want to make sure that my mortar's still sticking to my finger. Sticks to my fingers, sticking to my tile. So, and then we're going to stick the piece on that we just cut. Give it a wiggle. Sorry, a little dry. Okay. Again to the next row. again, this plug is the exact same as the other side of the counter. So we're going to make a dot on the top of the tile. Then we're going to stick a spacer in there, and then we're going to make a dot. So basically I know exactly where this next tile is going to go. I can skip. And that gives me my measurement for the other side of the plug. It gives me the measurement for the fill-in piece for the other side of the plug. I'm going to take a piece of scrap that I got. This piece here is the piece of scrap, and it's longer than the piece I need. So we're going to use it. Or I'm going to use it, I guess, in this case. And I just traced it on there, measurement. Nothing here is done by a tape measure. The only thing I find with the tape measure is the height and the length and the center and where my starting point is. That's it. Once that's done, I don't use a tape measure again. You get more accuracy just by doing exactly what I did. And it saves you 20% of your day. Guaranteed. Now today's been a busy day for me. I went in the bathroom and I cleaned and grouted the bathroom floor, and then I came out here and did this. But it wasn't hard. It wasn't a hard day. It was a good day. So I remember I'm a carpenter for 25 years, so trades work, being in the trades for 25 years, I've done a lot of things like plumbing, electrical, a lot of things, a lot of jazz. So, but carpentry is what I am, what I do. Tile work. I got into custom work, custom cabinets first years ago, and a little bit got in with cabinet builder, and he taught me how to build cabinets. So didn't do much with it, but learned how to do awesome trim. And then I decided that I was going to get into, after all those years of doing everything, in the last 4 years, I decided to be to specialize in custom tile work. And not that I just been brand new at it, 'cause I'm not. It's just that I want to feel at ease with my mind, my inner peace. And when you find that special spot in your life, I'm telling you, yeah, you'll enjoy it a lot more. I mean, work's not work when you're not stressed out all the time and worried about employees and stuff like that. Like this, I do it all by myself, and I'm busy enough that I could have 1 or 2 people doing prep work for me, but I don't want to do that yet, just because then it's going to take the fun out of it. So this is kind of this is the soul searching. So I'm going to cut this box anyway, and then I'm going to stick this on. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. So I've got this piece cut. Checking my mortar again, making sure I'm still sticking. I'm still sticking. Only been a couple minutes, but I want to make sure. And again, you're just wiggling them around until they stick. And you know they're stuck when you do that, because you can go actually pick them up off the other tile that you're working on, and it'll actually hold itself there. So you know that when it holds itself there, you know that you've got it stuck. So that makes quite a difference. Literally see, a space there, I can almost stick my fingertip in it, and it's holding itself. I know for a fact that tile is stuck, and I don't have to worry about that tile falling off the wall. There's no way that tile's falling off the wall. Can't imagine. So, unless somebody does something to make it purposely fall off the wall. Now, I'm back into my stagger pattern at the corner. And I have to cut every one of those. Now I have some scraps here, so I'm going to use the scraps best I can before I go cutting into new pieces, and that'll save you a fair amount of material on your project as well. Try to utilize all your scrap pieces that you can. They used to say a good carpenter would carry all this waste out in a wheelbarrow at the end of the day. Well, that's not too far from the truth, to be honest with you. That's good planning. These pieces are just a little bit too short. Then took a little dot, stuck it on the edge of the tile. Black marker. I'm not trying to draw a big line or a check mark or a V like a carpenter's mark or anything like that. I'm just putting a dot, the same as you would if you were a finished cabinet guy and you took a school pencil and you drew a small dot because you don't want them to show. You don't want the pencil line to show. Well, it's the exact same thing with tile. You don't want them to show, so do your best at making it the best it could be. The other thing is to be organized with your surroundings. Speed you up. I'm at 48 minutes here. 48 minutes and I've done this whole entire backsplash pretty well. So within an hour I'll be done it. Except for the top row, and I'm going to set my wet saw up and I'm going to nick them, all that top row up there. I'll do that with the wet saw because I can keep a nice continuous straight line. And I can set them all up to the same size tile. So, but I may not do that today. I may wait until next week because I do have another side to do, and I'll set the saw up. There's no point in setting the saw up just for one little piece. We are at the end of our day. I think we're at 5 o'clock now, so it's 5 to 5. So it's 5 to 5, so we're gonna, after we get this done, we'll call it a day. And that one there, I'm gonna have to stop the camera for a minute and take a little shave. I shaved that one back, so now it's ready to go. Checking my mortar, still transferring on my finger. Don't believe me, there's a clean finger. Clean finger, clean off, anyway. And there's mortar, so. I always mix my mortar on for my wall tile, for my backsplashes, just a little bit more on the slurry side of, so I have a nice amount of time to be able to work it. Section of now, my mortar didn't go up the wall the whole way, so I just back buttered that on just on the top side, right there in that one spot, just to make sure I have full coverage on the back. But I don't want it to be too much. That's why I didn't back butter the whole tile, because I didn't back butter any of the other tiles. So if I back butter that tile, it's going to stick out farther than the rest of them. Tell me I'm wrong. I'll tell you you're wrong. Because it will stick out farther than the rest of them. Because you can't squish the mortar. So. If you back butter one, you got to back butter them all. That's all I'm getting at. You can't do half and half. Or you back butter the tile and stick it to the wall. in this case. Cut that one. Back of my tiles seem to be showing a little bit, so I gotta shade that one back. Right back. Okay, I've got that piece on. I forgot to show you on camera. I just stuck it there. Took me a couple shots. I had to scribe it a couple times. A little piece of foam on the wall there, and it was holding me out in the corner, or crack fill, one or the other. Okay. Marked everything here with the pencil, or with the marker, and by setting it up against the exact area where I was cutting it, and that's what I did. I put it on there, figured it out for the grout line, and then put a little dot on it, and then brought it over here, set it into the saw, and cut it. That's how I did every one of these. I did not use a tape measure. There is a ball of crack fill up there in the corner, and it's holding it out. So instead of dealing with that, I'm just going to take it and grind just the corner out there, and I'll be right back. So now this is what I did. I just cut the corner back on it, and that fixed me up for my problem I had here at the wall. Again, this one here doesn't make it all the way to the top, so I'm just going to run it a little bit of mortar on the top of the pile, just to make sure that I have full coverage on the top of the edge of the tile. And I have one more cut tile to do, and then I'm off for the weekend. It's going to be it for today. I'll finish the top row next week when I set them wet cell up. So that one there, I just have to shave it a little bit. So I'll shave that one and bring it back in. This piece of garbage that I've just reclaimed. So there. That's how I did it. I cut back because there's a piece of, right at the corner there, there's some crack fill there. So it's balled out. Instead of cutting it and getting dirt in my mortar, I decided that this was the best method. Just to cut it out of there. Cut the tile, it's easy. Now I did back butter this one because there's no mortar up there. So this will make sure that I have some adhesion. So there. So now you just see me do that whole entire backsplash in 55 minutes. The only thing left is one strip that goes up here. That'll take me 10 minutes to cut that, so an hour and 5 minutes, and I installed that whole backsplash. That's 7 feet, 7.5 or a foot and a half high, so that's 7, 3.5, so that's 10.5 feet of backsplash. Done. 10.5 square feet of backsplash done in an hour. So that's not bad. Most backsplashes are anywhere between 25 and 35 square feet, and I run them out by the square foot. So basically I charge by the square foot, and right around $35 a square foot, and plus material. So that's kind of how that works. But it's not about making all about how much money I just made, because they're not all that easy. Some of them are more difficult. The walls are different. I just charge the same for all of them. And the tools it takes to do a backsplash, there's about $800 worth of tools that I use, 800 to 1,000 on every backsplash. So you need your material, plus you need to buy your tools and keep them bought. Just because you buy them once doesn't mean your job is completely done. You need to continuously buy this stuff. This stuff will only last me, I get a tile saw, last me a year, and I'm about ready to throw it out because it doesn't cut square anymore, or bearings are getting wore out or whatnot. They don't make tools like they used to, and so I renew them quite frequently, and the reason why I do that is because it gives the customer the best job that I can give them. So that's it. Hope you enjoyed this video. Like and subscribe if you can, and I'll see you next week. And I'll do the other half, and plus I'll do the top corner here. And now we are going to use Dove Gray mortar, and it's a power grout, so there is it's stain proof. It's fast setting, so in 4 hours you can walk on this grout. We're not going to walk on it obviously, but they can use it in 4 hours. And be able to clean it. The color, color's good. You know, it's continuous all the way through. It's mold mildew resistant, so that's a good thing when it comes to backsplashes, because you're cooking and you're splashing food and stuff on there. So you need to know that what products to use. Don't use a grout that you have to seal. Those days are done. If you are, you're setting yourself back in time for one thing. Another thing is you are back in time because you didn't have enough knowledge to buy the right stuff. So make sure that you do that. It's got low VOCs. There's 0 VOCs in this stuff, so it's fairly safe to use, and it's crack and shrink resistant as well. And that is good for me, because I know that once I put this grout on, that I know for a fact that it's not going to shrink up and fall out. Where some of the cheaper grouts, this grout I pay $60 a bag for, 10-pound bag. It's a fair amount more expensive than the rest of it. I also use all-set mortar for my mortar. I use nothing but all-set usually, and nothing but power grout, Tech Power Grout. And I do that because I know those two products don't fail, and why not? If they know that something's good, use it. And it's not sometimes about the money, it's about the quality. And you're doing this once to last a lifetime, hopefully. So try to make it worth it, or build it to last a lifetime. I tried the 40-year plan. Hopefully this will last for 40 years. Back in the old days, the old guys, they built a house and it lasted for 200 years. So that tells you something. You know, spend your time, spend your money in the right places. So, okay. Cheers, everybody. Have a good weekend. Like and subscribe.